Hello and welcome to the Humanity of Sales, where purpose meets profit. I am thrilled to be back with you today. You know that I have a program that helps organizations to create a culture of humanity. And so that's why I wanted to bring our special guest on today. He's an expert at both career counseling as well as recruiting and retention. And we're going to be talking about how we can add more humanity to our hiring practices and how to attract that top talent. But don't worry, if you're someone who is currently looking for a position, there's something for you as well. He's going to give some tips on that too, so you don't want to miss it. I can't wait to introduce him to you today. His name is John M. O'Connor, and he is a 30 plus year small business owner focusing on that career coaching, executive coaching, and retain talent, recruiting, and retention. He's driven by a mission to help guide people and companies to better business through people outcomes that align. Don't you just love that? I do. Let's bring him on. So, welcome, John. I'm really excited to have you here today. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Yay, we're going to have a wonderful conversation. We're going to talk about something that's a little bit different. That's more of the humanity of hiring, of being involved in that recruiting process or finding the right job. Because one of the things I love about you in our previous conversations is that you look at it a little differently, right? So, do you want to set us up for those folks who don't know you yet and give us a little?
Well, I've done help with career transitions for 30 plus years. I can't believe it, but that's just what I've done. And we've looked at it every different way. And we've had so many, it's almost like cases. Like if you're a lawyer, you have cases. And so a lot of what we do, whether it's an employer who's laying off and the people come to us that way, they're showing some humanity by investing in them, people investing in themselves to improve their lot. And I've found that people are closer to their work-life mission. They're closer to a fit that isn't just a job to get a paycheck to move the needle. I mean, sometimes it is if you have passions outside of work, but sometimes, if you're going to spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week or in traffic, let's make it something that you feel passionate about. Unfortunately, so many people are disengaged at work, and I put that a little bit on them. I mean, take responsibility. There are choices. Most of us live in the United States of America, and it's a pretty good place. So I want to encourage people all the time, but I'm not sure that's my big bio. It's more a little bit about our philosophy even than the mechanics of where I came from. But,
Yeah.
as you know, Heather, it's about the people we serve and we're able to contribute to and to enhance and sometimes push and sometimes pull and sometimes just get back and applaud and encourage. So it just takes all those different ways to coach and lean and it's just that. So I have to be inspired all the time by fellow speakers and coaches and authors myself because I've got to have that juice to go to my clients. So I'm depending on you a little bit today too to bring me some energy.
All right. Well, I've had my coffee, John, and you know I don't need it. So look
You
out.
don't need it, that's for sure.
Well, I do want to start kind of like what you mentioned about the push and the pull and all of that. We've talked before about how that there are strengths that people have that maybe are sometimes hidden, and we have to kind of pull that out of them, right? So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I mean what I've learned is, and whether you find it in the different assessment tools that are out there that some of us use, and it depends on who's administering these tools. We have a new one called Spark that I think I could talk a little bit about. But the ones, the over-the-counter ones you might find are Strengths Finders and Discs and things like that. But if you're basically a strengths coach, you know that people often diminish the gifts that they have because they take them for granted. We're just, oh. Or you've been almost, I don't say put down, but you've been sometimes you're ostracized for the things that make you who you are a little bit. Like if you're in school, how many actors have we seen? And I maybe it's just because I notice it and I have my ears up where they are, you're the class clown or, you talk too much or,
Oh, I got talks too much on my card
they,
every
they're,
time.
they get diagnosed later with OCD or there's some kind of a like a dyslexia. My brother had dyslexia. I don't even know to the day if he would admit it because he worked so hard to overcome it with the help of my mom, by the way. I watched that. So and he graduated MBA and he did this. He kind of overperformed in his career, in my opinion,
Mhm.
because I feel like he felt like he had to compensate for something that he thought maybe was a weakness. And
Mhm.
so in a way, a winner will take those things and use them to build something. But others feel like they're almost like have to apologize for those things, those strengths. But
Mhm.
to make sure people are using their gifts and to spending more time elevating their gifts than trying to get their strengths to or their weaknesses up to a certain level. Like I'm not going to be a mathematician. I just am not. Numbers and I don't mix as well as words and I mix. And so I leave a lot of the some of those things. I rely on others. I'm competent, but I'm not confident in that area, nor do I have a real interest in getting better at that, for example, just on that side of the IQ level. I don't think it's high. But so many people then diminish the things. And I think I'll just say one thing more is that I think, like, for example, liberal arts majors who may have come up a little bit creatively or they didn't go through maybe more traditional training. That's why it often takes people like that longer to succeed in their career because they have to learn that these gifts are valuable. Usually they're related to emotional intelligence and other things. And so if you
Mhm.
can meld those and know what your strengths and weaknesses are and really keep building up your strengths, we think that that's the best place. And you've got to find places of employment that sort of go, oh, we think that's a gift and we want you to keep building on it. Not, hey, you're speaking up too much. You have this. Like let's find places that harness our gifts and try to try to become the leaders that recognize that and encourage that.
I love that. So you got both sides of it. And when you combine, and you mentioned it, but when you combine fostering those gifts, those
Yeah.
strengths, those talents, along with those things that we really enjoy, and sometimes it requires what you do is like kind of asking the right questions to find out what they are and to lift people up and to find the right fit. Because one thing, for me, I might fit really well in one organization and definitely not in another organization, right? So being able to know how the fit can help the team. I do a lot with teams, right? And so you're not supposed to be good at everything. So,
Right.
like, I'm with you on the math thing, seriously. So, that's the first position I hired when I started my business is like, okay, let's have somebody do this thing that I'm not great at, that I don't enjoy, so I can focus on what I do. So I love that you make that part of the mix when you're helping people. So how can someone who is looking for a position right now really clearly articulate their value?
Well, I mean, that's a whole big process, probably. If you're into career search,
Mhm.
you can articulate your value in a number of ways through LinkedIn posts, which, I mean, that's a way. It's not the only way. It's not just, oh, I read an article that I should post more and go do it. I think you need some guidance in these things. I see people kind of going, yeah, I've been using Chat GPT to post, and it kind of sounds like Chat GBT and you're kind of
Yeah.
doing it because you read an article or you heard a talk. I think it really is very, I think if you're working with a coach, we're more surgical than you would think about, hey, here are some of the things I think that would help you and what you might need to do to get into a habit that you can build through showing your value by giving, teaching, like encouraging. It could be through volunteerism. It could be through as simple as LinkedIn posts or articles. It could be contributing to an association group. It might be something along the lines of maybe trying out small speaking gigs, as you know. I mean, you've built up your career this way, or you do something outside of work that's not required that allows you to become put in a more leadership role. That will feed the work that you're doing. Maybe you're underemployed now and you feel like you could do more. Well, you should have a plan to build those skills, whether your employer is having you do it or not. Like it doesn't have to come from the employer. You ought to have a game plan about your growth that could involve the employer. It'd be nice if they pay. I know some corporate people that they're like their whole lives have been, if the employer doesn't pay or compensate me for gas or do this, I don't do anything. And for them, for some, it's worked out pretty well. Good for them. But for a lot of us, it's like, you know what? That's not the only thing because they don't have my long-term best interest in mind necessarily. I
Mhm.
mean, we know that because layoffs occurred. Maybe in the 1950s or 60s, you could say that. I got with IBM and I did 30 years. I don't really see that so much anymore.
Mm.
So the people that are like, yeah, I'm glad for my employer to sponsor the PMP that I'm getting or to help me go to this course or this national conference or to speak here. But you know what? You better have a game plan outside of work too that you go, you know what? It doesn't just work, get money, invest money, go be entertained. I think a little bit of our culture is this, but those who put maybe, I don't know, it could be as little as 2 to 5 hours a week into personal self-development.
Yep.
Like really, I've seen people and I'm admire younger people that are like, oh, I hardly even watch TV. I listen to podcasts. Like that's more you're kind of, I don't know what they're listening to necessarily.
I guess it depends on what they're listening to.
But I mean, I like that mindset, but you ought to have a design to your life and your career to say that, are my skills valuable? How can I add value? You can do it in so many other places, including your employer, but boy, that's a whole talk in and of
I
itself.
know, right?
It's
We
a
could spend
great,
a lot
it's a
of time.
great question. How can you show value? It's like, don't just do it to get your job done. Yes, you should do it at work. You should find creative ways to continue to do it. You should ask your employers, any other way that I can bring value to the organization. I mean, that's amazing. Good for you. You should do that. But you ought to, but keep thriving outside of that. I don't care if you're coaching little league, or you're a referee, or you're whatever you're doing, put some passion into it. It will feed into all that is you. And it will help. Often the employer might see a different side of you that they go, oh, I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah.
I could see us kind of harnessing that, maybe adding some things. Maybe you could go and do this. Maybe you're in Toastmasters for 3 years and you're like, oh, I know so and so's sick. Could I give this talk at the conference?
Right.
Then
Yeah.
they would need Heather to come in and maybe do some training.
But I love what you're talking about here because it's more in that like personal branding realm to
Yes.
be intentional. Like we want to be intentional. We want to look at the humanity has to do with the whole person, right? And so sometimes what I've seen that I love is let's just take one element of what you just talked about. I like to contribute to this particular cause, or I help out, or I do a walk to because this means something to me. And then they find an organization that's their main thing that they contribute back to because it means something to them. That's a match made in heaven, right?
Right.
So I love that. And we need to be able to communicate that as part of our value proposition.
And I
Really.
want to say, well, I want to say one other thing. One of the little secrets that one of the people that I work with, he was a marketing guy, like super sharp. And one of the things that I've done with clients is I'll call references, not as their employer necessarily, unless we're doing pure recruiting, and we do that. But that's like old school recruiting, old school kind of like maybe coaching. Like I like to hear from different voices who know the people. So one of the calls I made was to the CEO. He said, "Oh, phenomenal guy, just really kind of complimenting all that he could do." And I said, "Well, that's a good report, and you've revealed some things that, I thought I could help him market himself and show value to potential employers." He said, "But one other thing, John, that he's missing
Wow.
that I don't know how to quite say it, but I'll just say it. He that in the next the reason I might not bring him in at the next organization that I'm going to be the CEO of is because he has not intentionally built a network that could be resourceful if we need it outside of the thing I know he'll execute on, which is marketing, which I
Hmm.
totally trust him about. I would hire him for that. But I need someone even more resourceful. That's how important a network is. And it wasn't just for marketing. He said, I need resourceful people who can find that, like today in the age of AI, maybe even that's a shortcut to being more valuable, as you say. But those are the little secrets that we've picked up over the years that people need to know about and maybe they don't think are important. They're just executing on what they are told to do or asked to do. But employers sometimes are looking for more
Yeah,
and people who could move you to the next level.
hmm the network, I've been having a lot of conversations with amazing people like yourself about the network, and it's a network for life, right? And so that means it's not just about work. It's how do we build relationships by giving, by contributing, by offering value that can help us in all areas of our lives.
Yeah.
You did talk a little bit about AI, so we got to talk about that because, you know, we both know that there's a lot of value in getting the right information from AI by asking it the right questions to optimize it, but that can't be your only strategy. And it's like more important now than ever to get to the human side. So, can you talk about that? Because you just wrote a great article about it. You speak about this a lot. So, can you share with our listeners why it's important to understand how to use it and when not to use it?
Okay, good one. I just have a book here that we
Oh, just happen to have a book to hold up.
happen to have it. It's a short book, but it's
Uh-huh.
because you can be led down a rabbit trail of things in the AI world. But look at that scary picture
Yeah,
of the
right?
the robot amongst us. But the humans are still dominant in this particular picture until they take us over, So at the same time, you must learn the core basics of how it applies to your career
Mm-hmm.
and your passions and missions. And you should be on the best practice scenario of how it's being used in your profession. That's what I care about for people. You own your knowledge of it. So yes, this book though was intentionally written. I edited it back the whole thing because I wanted it to, this is answering your question. It is human focused chapters, but with practical application using AI. But create a short list of ideal targets, market without misleading, which can happen with AI. LinkedIn is your digital first impression. Publish to be visible. This doesn't sound like an AI book, does it? Because we're giving you ideas on how to do it, but I'm leading it from my knowledge of coaching people and lives. Martin Brossman, Dana Gower, Dr. Justin Rose, same thing. But we wanted to really make it tight, but with all of us are pretty aficionado types in this early AI adoption. A year from now, it'll be more sophisticated. But I'm seeing things out there like, oh, blow out your resume to 1,000 places with AI and blast its service, guaranteed to get you hired in, like days or whatever it is. Like really seriously, like wild promises that I don't know why people aren't getting, lawyer letters on. Like it just doesn't make sense to me because no employer that I know is blindly hiring people that are blasting their resume in for no apparent reason. Now, it could happen. The employer may be paying for services that are jamming resumes into them, and they could be very specific. We're looking at what that means too, but that's how I view AI. You must not just be in the room with the robot. You need to be running it, owning it, driving it, not just human in the loop. I don't mind that, but I've listened to that so much. I'm like, no, the loop needs to be owned by the human. The human better be running it, and the human hopefully is ethical. And out of that, where will we go? I would ask you. So that's where we are. I think where we go next is, to the great unknown, but it's going to be pretty revolutionary. Even though there'll be stops and starts, there's a lot of ethical issues as we talked about. So yeah, it's a great topic.
Yeah, I mean, and we could, like I said, we could go. This could take us a half a day workshop,
Why not?
So we may need to continue the conversation, but I really do
Yeah.
it's important to recognize that it's the human owning the knowledge of how to use AI. And for me in particular, as a speaker, the voice, you mentioned the voice. Like I can tell that's written by chat, So if you utilize it, make sure to continue to put your voice in it because that's coming back to that personal branding, right?
Agreed.
So I love that you have written this and that you speak to this and that you help people understand that in the end it's the human to human connection relationships that helps to get that job or to find
Yeah.
that right fit. So thank you for all of that. You know what, John? People probably want to know how to get your book or how to
Well,
find you.
it's just on Amazon, job hunting
Okay.
in the AI era. It's pretty
Okay.
cheap. It's pretty easy to read, easy to apply, and it'll get you out of your own head and
Yeah.
using it for job search. I see people writing a lot, and I think the important thing that I'm coaching my clients is how to gain speed on it within your career. Well, I just
Mhm.
coached someone the other day and had him looking at a couple classes to make sure he's up on it because he was like what are you going to say when they ask you this in an interview? Well, I dabbled with this in chat and, wrote out a menu. Okay. But do you know in your field this is happening? So we do need to be up on it.
Mhm.
Or it's going to feel like it's getting away from us. And it could be, I'm on the hopeful side, it could be a great equalizer. It could free people up to do more important human tasks.
Mhm.
But I said in an article, AI cannot write your story or stories, and
Mhm.
it could help you write them, it could enhance them, but there's no way it can come up with, if you've ever seen it try to write fiction, there's no chance in the world it can come up with the cool ideas that you have. It might help you expand them, it might that, but you got to do that because
Yeah.
they're pretty boring and kind of cliche and weird and that's okay. I mean, it to me it's a good it helps to get you out of your own head a little bit, and it gives you
Mhm.
ideas. So, in a lot of ways, and it can go seek if you have a very sophisticated tool. We listened to a company that put $1 billion into it last week, Heather, and he said, I said 1 billion with a B, not million with an M. And he goes, yeah, we're doing that. And it was like an accounting,
Yeah.
consulting firm. And this guy
Mhm.
gave a talk on it. And I was like, well, I don't know. That's crazy to me. But he had three different layers to get at things that he wanted to get at.
Mhm.
And it was what it came up with was, I mean, he was showing us how impressive it was. So I don't underestimate the tool, but I'm gonna remain confident and coach people to own their domain.
Yes. And as we head off, just one last, if you had one thing that you wanted to make sure to leave people with about how to come from a place of humanity or expand humanity, what would you say?
Well, I would say find a way to not give yourself until you're exhausted and have nothing left, but find a way to give yourself away without sometimes recompense, to give yourself away to others who are less fortunate than you or don't have what you have, and don't even underestimate the gifts that you have and the wealth of life that you have in your body. Because if you're breathing, living, not in a hospital, not dealing with a kid with cancer, not laid up with this, or like everybody has challenges, everyone's going to go through life, but go find a way to give yourself away while you're pursuing the things that you hope to provide value. I don't think anyone's ever said that they've regretted visiting a hospital or giving something away, like, and sometimes you need that perspective. I kind of need it all the time. But in a way, I've got that living at home with me because I have a son with special needs. But often he's like, Dad, I'm okay. I'm always worried about him because he's had a seizure disorder for 10 years and he had autism. He can't tell you everything. And, there's always something. But if I don't get out of the house and give others and things like that, I could lament
Yeah.
the lack of things that he has, but he doesn't. So I think that's a constant reminder to me to let's just do that all the time. And I know people that have served him and served others and that serve people at low rates who work with special needs adults like my daughter and stuff like that. I have a special place in my heart for people who are always in that mindset. But to those of us who have a little bit, let's keep giving it away.
I love that. And when we do, it comes back tenfold. It
So
really
many
does.
times.
John M. O'Connor, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you.
It's a pleasure. You got me talking and you got me speaking, and I'm excited to bring you on my podcast and hear you talk too because you're awesome. Appreciate you, Heather.
Thank you. Let's give another big thank you to John M. O'Connor. Today, he is the specialist on career coaching and recruitment and retention, and also the author of Job Hunting in the AI Era. Great book. Make sure to subscribe right here so that you don't miss any of our Humanity of Sales where Purpose Meets Profit shows. We've got some additional amazing guests for you coming up. And oh, one more thing. I wanted to share with you that I've been finding that one way to infuse humanity into leadership is through retreats. It gives people an opportunity to deep dive into relationships and strategy. It's been hugely effective on creating a plan that you actually use when you go back to the office. So if you'd like some more information on that, let me know. Take care.